Hi, this is a short demo of the Foster Systems dome automation system, including some of their accessories such as weather device called scope shutter, and something we're currently under development, a thing called the smart switch, which will let you turn and on power on and off at the mount via USB. First thing we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and just to show you one of the powers of Exploradome is the ability to control a thing called a computer power system, which lets me switch 110 volt devices on and off. And I currently have it connected so I can turn the lights inside my dome on and off, which you just saw in the webcams here. And I'm also able to, I have a controlling my main 12 volt circuit, so in a worst case scenario, I can pull the plug on the 12 volt power supply, feeding power to things such as the mount and camera. I'll go ahead and leave those lights on so you can see the scope slewing around when we get to that point. It's kind of a windy day here in Pennsylvania, and how do I know that? Well, I'm using Astro Alert version 3 from Foster Systems, and this system is designed to basically give you the current conditions around your observatory, and also lets you automate some systems where if certain parameters are met or not met, it'll take it into its own hands to shut down the observatory, in case of rain or it gets too windy, which is a possibility today. It would automatically shut down the system, would basically close the aperture of the dome down and report an unsafe condition, which can be read by other programs such as ACP and CCD Commander. While we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and just a couple webcams I've got set up here around the dome so I can remotely see what's going on. Obviously from the outside, it's daytime. I wanted to do this during the day so you can see what's happening. And then a couple angles from inside. One inside from just looking at the telescope and the mount from one angle, here another angle, and then I've got a webcam mounted on top of the telescope looking forward, which gives me a general idea of which way it's pointing, and that's a nice way of seeing what's going on with the shutter if I need to do that. I'll go ahead and command the system now to open the shutter. And you do that here by pressing the open shutter button, and in a couple seconds you'll see things you'll hear some noises as the motors engage and as it starts to open my Exploradome shutter. This is a 10-foot Exploradome with a 10-foot correction, an 8-foot Exploradome with a 10-foot building, square building. While it's doing that, you see the shutter is opening. You'll notice a smart switch here in the center of the screen. I have power applied to the mount, and I can individually turn on and off power to things such as my USB hub that's mounted right on the optical tube area, which is a nice place to have since I'd like to minimize the number of wires running to that area so that you don't hang up while you're doing remote control of the telescope. So basically I've got one 12 volt wire going to the OTA area. I have one master USB connection running to that area, and with those, I'm able to turn power on and off, and I also do have an Ethernet hub mounted in that area, which lets me plug into camera and focuser and other stuff mounted up at the mount. As you see, we now have the shutter fully opened. I'm going to go ahead and proceed with opening a thing called a scope shutter, which is, you'll see it waving there. That's a device that allows us to remotely open and close the aperture of the shutter, so that when it's closed you don't have the extra goodies of dust, critters, and things trying to crawl all over your mirror and making a mess. So at the end of every observing session, I'm able to close the aperture of the telescope, and it is put away safely. For demonstration's sake, you've now seen it opening and closing. I will go ahead and keep it closed for the rest of this demonstration. So now a couple things. Telescope is already unparked. I'm just currently using the Sky to drive the telescope, but you can choose to drive it with any program excuse me, that supports ASCOM, and with that you're able to program Astro MC to slew the dome to follow the telescope aperture, and that's what you're seeing happening right now. Very handy feature when you're slewing around many points. A program that I like to use within the Sky called T-Point, which helps with the pointing of the telescope, the accuracy of the pointing. When you do a T-Point run, it's very common to do 200-300 images of different parts of the sky, and with Astro MC calling the shots, the dome follows every single one. So it doesn't matter if it's 10 below zero or 85 degrees. I'm inside where it's warm or cool, my choice, and I know that as the telescope is doing its thing through the automation of the Sky, the dome is going to follow. And that doesn't matter where. I'll go ahead and just slew the dome around some more. I'll tell the telescope to move, and the telescope first starts to move. Astro MC figures out what's going on, where to point the dome, and it follows. Let me go ahead and I will flip it around to the other side so you can see some more slewing demonstrations. And what you're seeing there up on this window is an approximation of where the telescope is pointed. And it's a crude approximation because sometimes the positioning of the camera is not really exactly which way the telescope is pointing. In this case, where you can actually see the telescope is pointing out the slit, but the camera is a little off center. But it gives us an idea of what's going on. And here I'll go ahead and point the camera a little closer towards the northeast, which will be slewing towards the outside camera. Just a caveat, if you like what you're seeing here, be careful with these outside cameras. As I found out the hard way, these outside low-level cameras, although very inexpensive, you can pick them up for sub $100, considerably below $100. Some models can toggle the infrared emitters that they use for lighting the low-level light. You can turn them on and off, and that's important with astronomy, as I found out. the first camera I had, the emitters were fixed on, and it flooded the entire area with infrared, which the CCD detector did a wonderful job of detecting as background light. So, but just make sure you buy the right one and you're able to turn those emitters off at night and still have the ability to turn them back on when you would like to use them. I'll go ahead and just demonstrate the scope shutter once again, showing you it waving, opening the this I really like, because it's easy to come out to your telescope at 7 p.m. to take the cover off, and then after 5 or 6 hours of imaging at 2 a.m. when the temperature has dropped 30 degrees and now it's chilly and you're tired, I really like the idea of being able to cover the scope remotely, shut the dome, and go to sleep without having to take a trip outside into the chill. I'll go ahead and slew some more. And as it's slewing, I'll show you another product of Astro that works with Astro MC from Foster's. It's called Astrograph. It is a nice graphic program that takes the weather parameters and displays them visually, so you can at a glance take a look at trends and see what's going on. I'll explain very quickly what some of these lines mean. The first top, very quickly you can see the status of the sensor. Right now it's telling me we've got a clear sky, and I probably would agree with that, looking at the slight area of the sky we can see through the slit. But the way it's calculating that is it's actually taking an infrared temperature of the sky, and the theory is, the warmer the sky is, the more moisture and eventually clouds are there. So when you look at this blue line here, this area, that is actually a graph of the sky temperature. And in practicality, anything below 15-20 degrees Celsius tells you most likely have a clear sky. The sensor is very sensitive. You see these bumps and peaks here in the middle. That's what's happening there, is some clouds were coming over, and it detects the temperature of those clouds, which is warmer than the surrounding air. So you see these peaks, and that's a real, two things. You know clouds are passing by, and you also know your sensor's working. Some other information at a glance here. Temperature is in blue here in the second graph here that I'm circling. Here in central Pennsylvania today, it's about 10°C. Finally 10°C. We've had a rough winter, but and then it is also graphing the dew point in red. And depending on how much you know about the weather, as these two lines get closer together, bad things start to happen. As the temperature reaches the dew point, moisture becomes visible. Basically, the moisture is being squeezed out of the air, and things such as fog and bad transparency happen. And it'll change colors as the program sees that dewing conditions are starting to approach. It'll start graphing the line as a yellow line to warn you. Down here on the lower left, the Astro Alert has a capability. It's measuring how much light there is. Right now, I know number 3, at that height it's daytime. It'll step down through 2 and 1, and at night it'll be down at 1, so you know what the conditions are. And then lastly, which fortunately today, especially since I have the dome shutter open, there is a blue line, or actually graph, that would appear. If it's raining, the sensor would detect that and display it here. The sensor is the Astro Alert version 3 is extremely sensitive to rain. We borrowed the technology from the folks that make the high-end auto windshield wiper controls for vehicles. It detects extremely small water droplets on a little transparent dome that it's built on, and immediately will let us know whether it is raining or heavy dewing conditions. The program at that point has a capability to take that as a bad sign and immediately close the dome. The last window on the lower right hand here is 2 bits of information. Green is the relative humidity. Right now in PA, the humidity is about 40%. It's really drying out. And then this other graph, this red here at the bottom, is estimation of the wind speed. We really don't care. Astro Alert doesn't measure the wind direction. That really doesn't matter. We're just keeping an eye on how much wind is out there to signal us a problem. You're able to set the parameters, and in my case, I believe I have it set that if the wind goes above 25 miles an hour, 25 knots, 25 knots, that is an unsafe condition, and it would immediately close down the dome. And there's some other features here. I'll go ahead and close that down and show you some other weather-related features. Astro MC has a nice alert feature which allows us to set parameters through the weather and through the program so that if certain conditions are met, Astro MC automatically will either send me a text message to my phone or an email. And what'll happen is, let's suppose I'm away from the observatory and I want to know, I do want to keep an eye on whether it's raining or precipitating outside. I have the appropriate box checked here, and anytime that sensor goes off, I will get a text message in this case, or I could set it to send me an email to my phone saying, hey, it's raining at the observatory, I hope you're paying attention. Other things such as to alert you, hey, it's time to go observing again. It'll send me a text message if I want when the sky goes clear after being cloudy, or maybe if the weather sensor fails, it'll phone home, let me know that's happening. Power failure. Astro MC, the main rotation boards, have a plug that if you apply voltage to it, if it loses voltage there, it'll scramble the dome. Remember, the dome, we recommend, is running on batteries, and even though the power may go out, AC power may go out, it still has the capability to at least shut the shutter down, which is the most important part. And all the time keeping you alert through either email or through your text messages on the phone. That's a nice little feature buried in Astro MC that is just another one of the little freebies that's included. I'll go ahead and I still enjoy watch the dome follow the telescope. After several years of having this run, it's kind of really a neat feature. The weather functions are programmable so that these unsafe conditions can be set to your specifications. So if you want to choose more or less wind, you go to the setup here in Astro Alert, and you're able to customize how much wind or how little wind you want it to be a threshold for closing the dome down, or how cloudy or how warm you want the sky to get before saying that there's a problem. Those are all customizable by the user very simply by just changing a couple numbers. I'll go ahead and I will go ahead and point the dome back towards us. And remember, this will interface with any program that can handle ASCOM. Very simple to do. Most telescopes, most common telescope driving systems have some type of ASCOM capability. And even though we don't advertise it, there are people out there running this on Macintoshes emulating PC environments, and it does work. That is not an issue. I'll go ahead and I will now command the dome to shut down. I click on closed shutter, and it'll, as long as all the parameters are safe. You know, there are some interesting fail-safes here to the Astro MC board. You are able to use parking switches so that those that have telescopes that have to be in a certain position before you can close your dome, you can verify that, and it won't let you move anything unless the telescope is in that position. There's a security sensor built right into the Astro MC board, which I actually use. It uses a common security magnet switch, and every time my door opens or closes on the observatory, it sets off a security alert on the screen, and more importantly, it sends me a text message. Hey, somebody opened your observatory, and hopefully I'm there. All those are features that are built in right into Astro MC. The board also has built-in relays. There's 4 of them that allow you to control low current DC voltages right on the board and allow you to turn on and off devices. In this case, I can actually turn on, I have a flat EL panel that I use to shoot flats with, and I'm able to turn it on and off remotely using the built-in features of Astro MC. All this geared towards that remote astronomy, whether it's, in my case, in my backyard because I'm lazy and I don't like going outside when it's cold, or whether it's 1,000 miles away on a mountain somewhere. The remote capabilities are really pretty much unmatched out there at this price point. Really, the value of this software and hardware is unmatched out there. We follow ASCOM. Other programs can pick up. In fact, ACP, CCD Commander, all can pick up weather indications from our software. If the weather sensors go bad and there's a problem, ACP will say, oh, here we go, it's getting cloudy, it's about to get rain, and it knows what to do. It'll command to either ACP can shut the dome or Astro MC automatically can. In fact, that feature is evident here over in the weather alert. I can turn on this feature called Shutter Direct Close, and now if certain weather criteria are busted, Astro MC, without any computer intervention, will take care of shutting things down. At least the most important thing, closing that shutter so that the weather can't come inside. Well, that concludes the short demonstration of the Foster Systems dome automation system. Some of these things are accessories, such as the weather, the scope shutter, and the smart switch, which is currently under development. That's not for sale yet, but will be in the near future. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, we have a website, www.fostersystems.com. some basic information on all the products is on there. As everything in amateur astronomy, this is a work in progress. The engineering is always going on, and as we improve things, we are constantly updating the software to show improvements and bug replacements, things like that. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the show.